Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Drew Rowley, the Chief Information Officer at Healthcare Provider Solutions. Drew, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I'm looking forward to hearing about your low-code and Caspio journey. So to kick us off, could you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, I am Drew Rowley. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Healthcare Provider Solutions. Our company is a billing, coding, clinical consulting company for home care and hospice agencies. And so the way that we easily explain that to people that aren't in our niche is the agencies go see the patients, and all of the back office administrative functions, we do that. And so if an agency wants to call us and say, hey, we want you to do our billing, or an agency call us and said, hey, we want you to do our coding, or we want to do some clinical project work with you, we do that specifically for home care and hospice agencies.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Drew. And as you just said before, you've been a customer of Caspio now for 5 years. Can you remember what the key challenges were why you started to look and investigate low code and obviously Caspio as well?
Yeah, we deal with a lot of electronic medical record systems.
Right.
And so we had set up very complex processes and procedures and daily workflows, basically in Excel. And we were trying to excel too much.
Yeah.
And so we had gotten to a place with Excel that it had turned into a database. And if you know anything about Excel and technical, using Excel for a database is not a good way to go about things. And so we didn't have a development team, but we had some technical staff that we felt like could probably use a low-code system like Caspio. And so we started looking, right? And so our need was, we have all these processes built in Excel, and our staff is basically going through their workday using an Excel workbook like a web application as a database. And we needed to move that to being more of a web application with an actual database. And so that's kind of what brought us to Caspio.
Thanks, Drew. Can you remember how you discovered Caspio and what was the solution that you're looking to solve?
Yeah. So we were doing some research online. Like I said, we didn't have a development team,
Right.
but we had a lot of technical staff. And so we knew that we had to find something that wasn't your traditional development model in a traditional development language, but we needed something that was more of a low-code solution, something where if you knew what a database was and you knew basically how to set up a database and that kind of thing, that you could be able to develop a web app, because that's what we were trying to do. And so we did some research, saw several different demos, and ended up sticking with Caspio. For one reason, the price was right. For another reason, we saw that the way that the background of Caspio was developed was really pretty ingenuitive in the demos that we had looked at.
Yeah.
We kind of liked that all of them are low code, but I think what differentiated Caspio was the way that the graphical user interface was, not for the apps you built, but for the people building the apps.
Yeah.
And so we really got to go in the demo and see exactly what our team would be doing. And we just felt like it met our needs better than the other platforms.
Yeah. I'm interested to find out who's the end user for your application.
Yeah. So the end user is twofold. So we built what we call the HPS portal with Caspio. And there are two different end users for our app. So one of the side is the HPS portal. Let me talk about that for just a second, because I think it'll segue into who the end user is.
Yeah.
The HPS portal is, we call it a single pane of glass for our customers. And so we are an outsourcing vendor, right? They outsource services to our company. And so we needed a good way to show our customers what we do for them on a daily basis. So we used Caspio to develop a web application so that we could show the daily work that we're completing for our customers, the home care and hospice agencies, real time. And so we bring in data from all of the electronic medical record systems into the portal.
Mhm.
We build that into a database, and then we turn that into a web application with Caspio. And so the end user, one side of the end user is the customer, because our customers are logging in, and I think at this point we probably have 1,000 customers logging in to the portal to be able to see the information that we're completing for them on a daily basis, to get real-time analytics on the billing and the coding and the collection efforts that are taking place behind the scenes. So they can also communicate with us in the portal. We built a messaging system so that they could ask us questions about the data. We could ask them questions about the data, and we could communicate back and forth.
Yeah.
Another big thing is that we're healthcare, right? So the platform had to be HIPAA compliant, and Caspio goes above and beyond with the SOC 2 standards that are in play,
Yeah.
and making sure that all of HIPAA customers are on a secure enclave. And so that was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
And then being able to sign a business associate agreement and have that information readily available so that we know that we have everything in our ducks in a row as it concerns the HIPAA compliance.
Yeah.
And so our customers log in on that side and can view all the data. And then the other end user is our staff. And so our staff goes into the portal every single day. It's how they queue up their work. And so all the work that they need to complete, we have queues for different roles and different departments that they can go in and see what is their work for the day. Our supervisory users can go in and see a completely different navigation menu to be able to review the reports on what their staff has completed for the day, to be able to queue work for them for the day, and then be able to go in and message our customers back and forth and communicate directly with them. So
Yeah.
that's a good down and dirty of what our app is.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I was going to mention about HIPAA and how important that is for you. And clearly it is. And that was one of the decisive decision makers you made in going forward with Caspio as well, being HIPAA compliant.
Sure. Yeah. And that was one of the things that we had to look for in a vendor. There's lots of low code vendors. Not all low code vendors provide.
That's right.
Go out and from the sales cycle say that we are a HIPAA compliant solution. Yeah. And so Caspio did that. And so that was a key differentiator for us, is that we could see the architecture was built securely, and that it checked all the compliance boxes that we needed to from a HIPAA compliance perspective.
So Drew, how would you say over the last 5 years your applications changed from kind of your vision originally to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when we first started, we were really just trying to figure out how can we do something better than we are doing right now with Excel. We had a ton of different complex workbooks with lots of formulas that basically multiple people would work inside of the same workbook throughout the day. Well, the challenge with that is data doesn't get updated very quickly. If you get too many people in a workbook at one time, it becomes very slow, and it just wasn't working out. Yeah. And so that's what our initial goal was just to turn what we were already doing into a web application. Since that time, so 5 years has passed, right? We never dreamed that it would turn into what it is today, which is basically a full service communication and analytic data review platform across all of our customers, across all of our different business channels, and that we would have roughly 1,000 users logging in to use it every single day, both internally and externally. So at this point in the juncture, what we've built, we are shifting from being really just a portal and a communication tool to being a competitive advantage for us within our industry, something that completely separates us from others in our industry that may not have a tool that can produce the real-time analytics that we can for our customers.
Yeah. I was going to mention about, I know you've worked with our professional services team before. How have you found that experience and how have they added value?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a type of person that likes to brag on people. And so I can't speak highly enough about the professional services team, to be honest with you. We've been a customer for 5 years, and we are still working with the majority of the exact same folks that we were working with when we started. That's a big deal for me because we work with lots of outsourced vendors. And one of the big things that is needed to have a good relationship, and what has turned into now with Caspio a partnership, is kind of being able to develop a relationship with the same folks. Because if you have a new team that you're working with every single year, it really becomes difficult to call that a partnership because you feel like you're starting over every year. Caspio doesn't have a lot of turnover. And so the key team members that we've had for the last 5 years, and they're the type of folks that we, actually reach out and say, "Hey, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and
Yeah.
Happy New Year." And we've become like business friends with the folks over on the professional services team. They understand our app. That's a huge thing,
Yeah.
is that we're not having to get on the phone and teach new team members about what we do, who we are, who our customers are, who our
Yeah.
internal employees are, what they do. Having to do that over and over again would be not a good partnership. But the team that we've had at Caspio has been able to grow with us and help us grow our app. And so, in being able to do that, the partnership is just solidified. And, we couldn't imagine being with another team.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think you're right. It's really important to keep the consistency of the same team. They get to know you as individuals, understand the company's goals and your goals as well as a team, and they've got skin in the game. Is that they want to deliver success and help you along the way as well. And I think from what I know with the professional services team that are working with, they really enjoy the partnership working with you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
So another question really in terms of like during the last 5 years, was there a moment during the development stage where everything just clicked? You went, yeah, this is the right decision for us. And we're glad we moved forward with Caspio.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 5 years, I would say probably within the last 18 months. In the last 18 months, we really looked at the app that we've built
Yeah.
and brought on the last portion of our business services division that we've built into the portal. And so the last 18 months have been challenging.
Yeah.
Because we were bringing on a bulk majority of our customer base that we hadn't put in the portal before. When we first started the app, we started with a service that we provide to our customers that is doesn't have as many customers to touch.
Right.
In this last 18 months, we put on a bulk majority, which is a huge part of our business. And so we kind of put all our skin in the game at that point and said, like, this is the tool that we're going to use, and
Yeah.
we're all in. And it's been great. Our customers comment on how easy our portal is to use. And they comment on being able to communicate with us real time. They comment on being able to see real time data for the services that we provide them every single day. And so we feel pretty confident in the path that we have forward.
Yeah. How do you obtain feedback from the end users, your customers? Can they send that directly through the chat if they want to see like an enhancement to the application? How does that work for you?
Yeah, we've built in the help section into our portal.
Right.
And so they can basically go there and message us directly through the portal. They can contact us through there and be able to support or be able to give us feedback on, product enhancements, et cetera. We've also done that for our internal staff as well.
Right.
And so it was a big deal for us to make sure that whenever we were changing an entire workflow for our internal staff, that they would be able to help us not only build the app, because we've done that. So the supervisors and the executives that are running those services, they're key contributors into how we build the app, where we put stuff, how we build it, what it looks like. Without their feedback, this journey would not be as successful as it is. And so I think it's a huge deal that when anybody takes a journey on low code, that they have buy-in from the top down. Yeah. And that any customer that's looking to do something like this truly is making it a team-centric effort instead of just a technical effort. Because if you don't have buy-in as a team, a solution like this might not be what's right for you.
Yeah. I was just thinking then when you're talking, Drew, about what type of ROI you see you're receiving in terms of, I'm suspecting it's probably a lot around the efficiency saving, going from Excel to having applications that are working the way you've described. And on top of that, obviously cost savings as well when you build it all together. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, we actually we've calculated ROI across all of our different functions that we do. We have an automation processes and procedures that run to pull data from the EMRs and push and ingest that data into Caspio. And so we've actually run some pretty complex ROI on Caspio and what it's doing for us. And to be honest with you, we're saving upwards from 9 to 10 full-time FTEs that we would have to hire to do the things that we are doing with Caspio and with the portal.
Yeah.
So being able to cross between what we've automated and then being able to show that data to the customer, yeah, it's a huge return on our investment.
It's great to hear. Great success story as well. So if anybody's watching this video or listening to the audio version, what advice would you give them, Drew, if they're considering low code in Caspio?
Well, I would tell them to make sure that they have a good technical staff that doesn't have to be a developer,
Yeah.
but they need somebody that's going to champion the software. And they need somebody that is not afraid of technology, not afraid to go in. One of the greatest things that Caspio has in its repertoire is a guy named Ned. And Paul, I know you know Ned very well. And so Ned is a trainer for Caspio, and his videos on how to build, they're not just high level stuff. They get very, very deep into the weeds on how to use the software and how to use it effectively. And he has such a great way of teaching and also having so many different examples of things that you can do inside of Caspio. And so, yeah, I think my advice would be have a person that's going to champion the app that you're trying to build, make a detailed plan and kind of work package of what you're wanting to accomplish with the software. I think that will help you in the sales cycle with talking to the team at Caspio to figure out if it's a right fit or not. And then I think the last thing I would say is just what I had mentioned earlier, which is make it be a team journey, not just about two technical people trying to solve a problem. Because if you try to do it with just two technical people trying to solve a problem, your adoption of the software that you're trying to build isn't going to be what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And so you need to make sure that you have buy-in from your services divisions or whoever it is that's going to be using the application. You got to have buy-in from the top down. The managers have to be bought in, the teams have to be bought in. And even if they're not really sure exactly what you're going to be doing with it, you just need to get people excited about this journey and excited about the fact that you're going to solve a problem.
Yeah. No, great advice there. Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you for participating in the podcast today. I'm sure a lot of people are going to find your insights and learnings really valuable. And thank you for being a Caspio customer for the last 5 years. And I hope we've got many more years of success ahead of us.
Us too. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Drew.